He did not come as an invader, not as a destroyer. He came down with the silent intention that was scarier than any rage to make our world perfect. His name, if it could be called a name, sounded like 3iAtlas, and its appearance over the Pacific Ocean was not accompanied by a fire plume or a shock wave. It just appeared as a glitch in the reality matrix, as a quiet anomaly in the sky itself. At first, the satellites began transmitting strange data, and the planes flying past the epicenter suddenly began to write perfect, from the point of view of aerodynamics, but absolutely meaningless figures in the air. He didn't attack. He was evaluating, analyzed it, and I was getting ready for work. But I have to stop you here, because most of you are now thinking, another alien story, and you will be wrong. So the most shocking thing about this story is not his strength and his logic, and how we, humanity, found the only possible shield in desperation. And this shield turned out to be not a weapon, but our art, our chaos, by our cry. And if you want to find out what an incredible, bordering on madness plan worked, and what happened when an entire city got in the way of this creature, don't switch. The most important thing is ahead. His movement towards the first piece of land, a tiny atoll, was unhurried and inevitable. And there, under his emotionless gaze, the first blood-curdling miracle happened. The coconut tree that his shadow touched did not die. She has become an ideal. Each leaf took a geometrically perfect shape. The fruits were arranged according to the highest harmony. The trunk straightened into an absolute vertical, and she froze, not as a plant, but as an eternal, crystalline sculpture of the very idea of a palm tree. Life was replaced by perfect static. It was not an act of violence, but an act of chilling improvement. When the news of this reached the continents, chaos ensued. Fear of the unknown has paralyzed governments. The military was dispatched. Fighters, missiles, everything that humanity was proud of in the struggle for survival. The result was humiliating and undeniable. The shells froze centimeters from the invisible field. Their deadly stuffing turned into harmless patterns, and the shells neatly folded into perfect metal cubes and fell into the ocean. The force was useless. 3iAtlas was a phenomenon of a different order. He methodically walked forward, leaving behind a path of frozen perfection. Lawns transformed into an emerald crystal carpet. Streams that became glass casts with mathematical ripples. The turning point happened in the first human village. People fled in panic, and only one old carver, Tupai, sat on the threshold of his hut, looking at the approaching fate. In the patterns that the creature left behind, he recognized the motives of the legends of his people, about the spirit who came to order the world. A ray of cold light enveloped the old man, but instead of turning him into a perfect statue, the light made him shine. His wrinkles, the marks of a long life, did not disappear. They began to look like a precious chronicle. His simple tools in his hands glittered like artifacts. 3iAtlas froze for a moment, which was an eternity for his consciousness. For the first time, his arbiter, seeking to match the ideal, encountered not a simple object, but a complexity, culture, memory, soul, woven into matter. And the creature passed by. It recognized in this man something worthy of existing in his current form. It was a clue that we almost missed. Despair turned to feverish speculation. You can't fight him, but maybe you can have a dialogue with him. And here begins the part where humanity showed a genius that it seemed it was no longer capable of. We realized that our only chance was not to hide our essence, but to turn it inside out, strengthen it a million times. When 3iAtlas approached the coast of New Zealand, it was not met with volleys. He was greeted with art on a scale that the world has never seen before. The whole of Auckland turned into a giant live installation for several hours. Thousands of drones created moving paintings in the sky. Orchestras and street musicians played in unison and in dissonance. Dancers, soldiers, artists. The whole city became one grandiose, chaotic and beautiful statement of humanity. That's who we are. And an incredible thing happened. 3iAtlas did not stop this chaos. He entered it, and under his influence, the city began to change before our eyes. The glass of the facades began to flow, forming impossible but striking shapes. The metal of the bridges bent, creating a new, vibrant architecture. He didn't destroy our mess. He took it as a raw material and built something unimaginable out of it, raising it to a new level of complexity and beauty. It was no longer a trial, but a strange, frightening symbiosis. We showed him our spirit, and he reciprocated by transforming it into a new reality. And now is the time. Because what happens when this process reaches a critical mass? When does it reach places where our essence is not so beautiful? Now he is in the very heart of human civilization, in giant megacities. He walks through the streets of Tokyo, and under his gaze, the neon advertising lights come to life, turning into rivers of pure-sounding light. Traffic jams do not paralyze the city, but are organized into futuristic, quietly moving sculptures of public transport. People don't run anymore. They come out to meet him, showing him their gadgets, their art, their despair and their hope. 3iAtlas is no longer an alien destroyer. He has become a mirror, a titanic reflector that shows us ourselves through the prism of his incomprehensible goals. And here is the main question, the culmination of everything that happened, and what made the special services of all countries urgently hold meetings. What is he really looking for? It optimizes reality. But by what criteria? Data analysis shows that his path is not a random walk. It is a straight line to certain points on the planet, points of the highest concentration of information, energy, and human suffering. What will he do when he reaches a military conflict zone, or a giant landfill, or exchanges? Will we become inhabitants of a dazzling new world, preserving our essence, or will we turn into only refined, frozen decorative elements in the Museum of Lost Humanity? His journey continues, and with each step, the future he brings becomes both more beautiful and more alien. The finale of this story is being written right now, and we are all its co-authors. And the answer to how it will end may depend right now on what you're hoping for more. Sitting in front of the screen, for him to find us worthy, or for him to just finally leave. Subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss any interesting new videos.